Madhvi, welcoming you for this Gita Mastery Course, Trimester 2, Session 2. We were on chapter number 4. We have almost completed the first section. 9 verses are done, 10th verse we have to start from. But before we begin our session, let's all chant the Mangalacharan together. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Shri Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Presthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve, Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. So here we begin with the quiz Gita Rewind. We are sharing, it goes on your screen. So read the questions carefully and mark the answers. Next slide. Once you complete the quiz, kindly mark the attendance. The attendance link is shared in the chat window. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So here it is on your screen. Question number 1, which is the proper process of knowledge transfer? And the correct answer is disciplic succession or bona fide parampara system. So option number 3.
Question 2, the transcendental knowledge of Bhagavad Gita originated from Krishna. And that's the right answer. 83% of you got it right.
Question number 3, what is the qualification to receive knowledge? So the correct answer is both devotee and friend. Krishna tells Bhakt and Sakha, 2 words he uses in a verse. So that is the correct answer.
Question 4, why did Arjuna ask doubt? So the right answer is all of the above. Option 4.
Question 5, there are total 4 yugas and we are in Kali Yuga. 88% of you got it right.
Question 6, the difference between Krishna and us is Krishna remembers, we forget. So second option is the right option.
Question number 7, avatar or incarnation of Krishna are mentioned in scriptures. They lead us towards God consciousness and they gives message according to time, place and circumstances. So the correct answer is the 4th one, all of the above.
Question 8, why does the Lord appear? And the right answer is to establish the principles of religion. Dharma samsthapanarthaya.
Question 9, result of acquiring the real knowledge. So the result of acquiring real knowledge is that one does not take any birth again and goes back to Krishna. So third option is the correct answer.
What is the result of understanding transcendental knowledge? That's the last question. And the correct answer is all of the above.
So let's begin with the session. So we were in the first section of chapter 4. Chapter 4, the title is Transcendental Knowledge. And here Krishna was explaining that how this knowledge comes to this world. So he says that he is the one who gave this knowledge to the sun god and he has been emanating this knowledge. And then he also explains that to acquire this knowledge, one has to come in a bona fide Guru Shishya Parampara. He also talks about the purpose of this knowledge, the purpose of his appearance. He starts giving that knowledge. So why does he appear and how can one get free? So when he talks in the 9th verse, Janma Karma Chame Divyam Evam Yoveti Tatvataha, that one person who understands Krishna's appearance and activities to be transcendental, he becomes eligible for getting out of the cycle of birth and death and attaining the lotus feet of Krishna. He attains Krishna's lotus feet. So we have covered till verse number 9 and today we would begin with verse number 10. Vitaraga bhaya krodha man maya mam upashritaha bahavo jnana tapasa puta madbhavamagataha.
Being freed from attachment, fear and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. So here Krishna is talking about that person has to become free from attachment. So what attachment? We are all attached to our bodies. We think we are the body. Every time we look into the mirror, every time we look at a photo, we say, yeah, that's me. So we are attached to this bodily concept. And we extend this bodily concept on Krishna also. Since I am my body, Krishna must be his body. So like I have a body, I have 2 ears, eyes and hands and legs. Krishna also seems to be very similar. So like I have a material body, Krishna also must be having a material body. So this is the attachment which I have to my body, and I extend this to Krishna. So what is Lord saying here? He's saying being freed from such attachment. The next point is he is having fear, right? So what is that fear? Fear is a lot of people, we understand the material world is a place of misery. There's one problem after another problem. We try to solve the second problem, third problem is already waiting. And before we have solved the third, the fourth already comes at the door. So like this, we see that this material world is one problem after the other. So many people have this understanding, spiritual life means getting away from all this. Spiritual life means that I merge in God, I lose my existence, all these problems go away. Right? So people think like this, but Krishna has explained that Atma is eternal. Whether here in the material world or in the spiritual world, individuality remains. And then this person becomes fearful. Oh, wait, I have so much problem here. I go to spiritual, there also I'm an individual. And again, what if some problems come? Then what will happen? So they become very fearful of this understanding. So what is Krishna saying? Become free from such fear. And then third is anger, krodha. Who's angry? Who's angry? Because there are so many people speaking so many things about spirituality. Somebody saying this is God, somebody saying that is God, somebody saying this philosophy, somebody saying that philosophy. And sometimes these philosophies are contradicting and this person becomes crazy. What is this? Everybody's, some are claiming to be God, somebody's claiming somebody else to be God. And they're talking, and there's so much contradiction that appears. So he becomes so frustrated with all of this. So he said, no, I don't care about God. I don't want to know anything about it. I just don't want to do anything with spiritual life or with the religious life. So what is Krishna saying? Get free from such anger. So come to a bona fide Guru Shishya Parampara, all the confusions will go away, all the contradictions will go away. Then we can understand it properly. So Krishna is saying being freed from such attachment, being free from such fear, anger. So these are things that we have to free from. And what we have to do, we have to become fully absorbed in Krishna. We have to take complete refuge in the Supreme Lord. So those people who have done this in the past, not just Krishna is giving some new thing now. Krishna is saying in the past means in this Kali Yuga, this was being spoken by Dwapar Yuga. So in Dwapar Yuga, in the Treta Yuga, in the Sat Yuga, in the previous Yuga, and millions and millions of years, so many people in the past have become purified of this by this knowledge of me. And what is that knowledge? Janma Karma Chame Divyam. Krishna's appearance and Krishna's activities are completely pure, transcendental. They're all spiritual. They are not like my birth. They are not like my activities. So when somebody understands this, then Krishna is saying, they attain transcendental love for me. Mad bhavam. They develop love for me. So this is what Krishna has beautifully explained here in this particular verse. So these are the insights, the result of understanding transcendental knowledge, that we become free from attachment, fear and anger. We become absorbed in the Lord because now we understand, oh, that's how it is. That is the nature of God. That is the power of Krishna. That is the purpose of the Lord coming in the material world. So when we understand all that, then we accept Krishna in our heart. And then we become absorbed in his thoughts. We become clean and pure from within. And that's how we attain love for the Lord. So these are the insights. It's a tried and tested method, certified by Krishna himself. All we have to do is accept and practice.
So getting into the next section now, Krishna removes misconceptions. So first Krishna gave the knowledge, he told that what is the qualification, how to acquire, from whom to acquire, what is that knowledge about. And now he is removing some misconceptions about this transcendental knowledge. So let's see what's happening here. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tams tathaiva bhajamyaham mama vartamanu vartante manushya partha sarvashaha. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. So, ye yatha mam prapadyante tam stathaiva bhajami. Whatever they do to me, similarly, I reward them. So, I reciprocate to each individual depending on his desires, depending on to what degree he is surrendering, and depending on what he expects from me. So, now Krishna is explaining that there are different people who approach me. So, not everybody approach me for attaining me. Like Krishna said that in 9th verse, he says that those who know this knowledge, who acquire this transcendental knowledge, they are liberated from this material bondage and they come to me. Here, because Arjun may think, what about those who don't want that Krishna? Because not everybody wants that. Not everyone wants to go back to Krishna. See, very few of us are interested in Bhagavad Gita. There is this huge number out there who are not interested in Bhagavad Gita. They are interested in something else. So Krishna is telling that to whatever degree they surrender to me, in whatever way they surrender to me, with whatever desires they approach me, I reward them accordingly. But he is also saying that everyone ultimately follows Krishna's path. So now the insight from this verse is, what if someone does not want to become perfect but something else? So Krishna rewards them according to their desire. So what is it that I desire? Do I desire a good house? Do I desire a comfortable living? Do I desire to merge with Krishna? Do I desire to just be shanti, like complete peace? What is it that I desire? So it's mentioned that spiritualists, there are different categories. So the first one, what is mentioned here is fruitive worker. They work for a fruit. They work for a reward. So even if they are chanting, even if they observe any vrata or they go to the temple, they always have their shopping list with them. So, okay, what I want and what I shall do. Okay, for this, maybe 11 coconuts. For this, maybe whatever number, like 11,000 rupees or 51,000 rupees or whatever. So, it's like give and take. So, fruitive worker, they want to serve Krishna because they have a lot of material desires in return. So, they want that. So, that is the first category of spiritualist who approach Krishna. Second is mentioned is Brahma. So, Brahma means now God can be realized, or Supreme Lord Krishna can be realized in three ways. So, it's mentioned Brahma, Paramatma and Bhagwan. These three are different aspects of the Supreme Lord. It is not same, it is different. So Brahma means Brahma Jyoti. We would have heard that the whole planet where the Supreme Lord lives and his whole body, his body emanates light. And this light is so bright, so glaring that it is like the eyes would be blinded. It's that bright light which comes out from Krishna's body. That is also a part of Krishna. Just like when we see sunlight. So the sunlight and the sun cannot be separated. Sunlight is an aspect of sun. If I'm sitting inside the room and it's little bright outside, I know, yeah, sun has come up. Right? So I can go and I can verify it also. So sunlight indicates the presence of sun, but not completely. So similarly, Brahma Jyoti is that light which emanates from the Supreme Lord. And there are people who aspire to attain that only. So they have no knowledge beyond that. They think that that is the perfection that I attain.
Merge in Brahma Jyoti.
I merge in Brahma Jyoti. And they think that that way they become one with Krishna. And the whole point behind that is that they feel that all the material miseries would cease to exist. It's a very peaceful place and there is no birth, death, disease and old age. So I just want to be there in silence. So that is Brahma realization. The second is Paramatma realization. So as we see here in the picture, so Krishna is standing top there and then we see the Brahma Jyoti, and here down we see Krishna in his four-handed form. He is lying down there. So actually this particular form of Krishna, from whose pores the universes come out, all the material universes where we are living in. So it comes out from the expansion of Krishna's body, and then in each universe, Krishna himself enters. And then that aspect which travels with each individual body, like me and you and everyone, Paramatma. So that is the Paramatma feature of the Lord. So Paramatma feature, I think we discussed in one of these sessions also, that like each one of us, we are the soul and we have super soul. So super soul is the presence of Paramatma. So no matter which body a living entity takes, Paramatma is always there with the living entity, guiding the living entity as and when the living entity requires that guidance.
So, I mean, another way of very simply understanding is we can see Bhagwan, Krishna's to Bhagwan Swayam Srimad Bhagavatam explains Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead in the spiritual world. And he has actually nothing to do with this material world. But then material world has to be managed, their affairs have to be continued. So Lord expands as Paramatma. And then this Paramatma form of the Lord, he gives shelter to the whole material world.
So here we see, and then the topmost is Bhagwan. So with Bhagwan is actually just like how we read in Srimad Bhagavatam, how we discuss so many pastimes of Krishna, like these days we are discussing Damodar Leela of Krishna. So just like that, people can actually, devotees can have various type of relationship with Bhagwan. So with Brahma realization, no relationship. Paramatma realization, again very limited, no active relationship as such. But with the Supreme Lord Krishna, if I aspire to attain the Bhagavan realization, then I can have 5 different types of relationship. So as you can see here on the screen, the bottom one is the neutral. Neutral means that I am in Shantaras. So just like probably the peacock or the cow or the trees in Vrindavan. So they also have a relationship with Krishna, but not very active. The second one is servant. So I can have this dasya relationship. So there are so many servants of Krishna. Some of them, they help him in bathing and getting dressed and carrying his shoes and carrying his things and taking care of Krishna. So I can have a relationship of being a servant of Krishna. Then there is friend or sakhya. So there is Subal, there is Madhumangal, there is Sridama, Sudama. So many friends, cowherd friends of Krishna. I can have that relationship with Krishna. Parental, like Mother Yashoda or Nanda Baba, Devaki, Vasudev, and so many elderly Gopa and Gopis. So all of them had this parental relationship where they would think that they need to protect Krishna. They need to look after Krishna. They need to feed. Mother would feed Krishna. So like that. So I can have that relationship with Krishna. Or like the lover, like Srimati Radharani and so many gopis and the queens like Rukmini and Satyabhama. So they are all in a loving relationship of a conjugal love. So going back, Brahma, Paramatma, Bhagwan. So if I want to attain Krishna as Brahma Jyoti, I will attain peace, eternality. I don't come back here. If I want to attain or realize Krishna as in his Paramatma feature, then I get certain knowledge also. I'm eternally connected, Sat and Chit. I acquire some knowledge from him. But if I aspire to acquire Bhagwan realization, then I get into one of these active relationships with Krishna. So there are different category of people who desire different thing, and based on what they desire, Krishna is telling in this verse, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam stathaiva bhajamyaham. So whoever wants whatever, I provide him with that specific detail.
So people on different paths are not realizing different things. They all realize different degrees and aspects of the same Lord of Krishna. So everybody is aspiring for spiritual advancement. Some want light, the Brahma Jyoti. If Krishna's grace is there, then they can get that. Somebody wants the realization of God as his feature in the material world, then he gets that. And some want to participate in those wonderful loving pastimes in the spiritual world, and Krishna mercifully bestows that also upon them. So they all realize it's not that they're realizing different things, they're realizing the same Lord but different aspects of the same Lord.
So to realize this verse here is another activity which we are posting. so that we can completely understand this. So here we are sharing on your screen destination. Just a minute. Yes.
This one?
Yes. So here are 3 very simple questions. All what we want you to do is mark whatever you feel is appropriate in your case. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so here was an interesting break in between Bhagavad Gita. So the question was that how would you feel if you eat, let's say, first thing, pizza, potato fries with Coke, and 84% of you feel bloated, you feel it's very heavy. And then the second option was drinking alcohol. I'm sure nobody here drinks, but still. So 95% of us would feel intoxicated in case we drink alcohol. And then the third one eats idli sambar chutney. And wow, like 96% of us feel nourished. So now what is it to do with the current thing, the current verse which we are learning? So the learning here is that as Krishna is telling that to the degree we surrender, so there are different aspects of realizing Krishna in different ways based on our desire. Just like how the feeling is not the same when we eat pizza, we take idli or we take alcohol. So depending on what we eat, our feelings are different. We feel differently. We react differently to different food. So similarly, all spiritual paths do not lead to the same place. So if there is a different path I am taking, if I am eating idli sambar chutney, there is no possibility that I become intoxicated by eating idli sambar chutney, right? So that way, here is the next life lesson that all spiritual paths do not lead to the same destination. So this is one of the misconceptions which Krishna wants to clear here, that all spiritual paths do not lead to the same destination. Based on what you are aspiring, you would reach there. Like people keep telling that, whatever you practice, ultimately everybody has to reach there only. But that is not the truth.
So it's a huge misconception that Krishna is clearing here.
Like different people want different things in life. Gyanis want to merge in Krishna's effulgence. Yogis may want some mystic power, some siddhi. Devotees may want to serve the Supreme Lord. So how can everyone get the same thing?
Yeah, God is not a moron. No? So that's what he's saying. What? I mean, Lord is the most intelligent person. He knows what one wants. And if the Lord feels that the person is qualified, then he gives him that, what the person wants. So that is what the perfection of the Lord is. That's how he is perfect.
Kankshantah karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devataha kshipram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja.
Men in this world desire success in fruitive activities and therefore they worship the demigods. Quickly, of course, men get results from fruitive work in this world. So, this is another verse where Krishna is saying that So he has explained about his greatness and the result which one attains if one really wants to know him. One has this knowledge, one gets liberated, and one is absorbed in Krishna, then they get love for Krishna. But then there are other people. As Sugiti was just saying, there are so many different types of people. And here Krishna is talking about those people who have so many desires. They want this, they want that. They have that list never gets, there's no end to that list. So they desire success in fruitive activities, in the activities of their day-to-day life. And what they do is they don't have patience. They go and worship different devatas. Who will give me this? I want to remove some obstacle. Who will give me this? Who will give me this? Oh, this person will give. This devata will give. I'll go and worship. Then I want something else. Who will give? Who will give? Oh, that other devata will give. Then he will go there and do that other devata's worship. So this is what Krishna is explaining here. And what we need to understand is a lot of people and many very, very famous leaders, spiritual leaders also, they make this common mistake, which Krishna is clarifying. They say, whether you worship Krishna or this devata, that, anybody you worship, it's same only. Right? But here Krishna is not agreeing with them. Right? So Krishna is supreme authority. We need to understand. So Krishna is separate and devatas are separate. So devatas, many people think devata is also a form of God only. They are all same. They are different forms of the same God. So this misconception is also Krishna is removing here. Krishna is separate and devatas are separate. Devatas are not God, but they are different. They are part and parcel of God, like us. We are living entities. They are also living entities, but they are empowered by the Lord. They have extra powers. Like we have one prime minister and we have many cabinet ministers, ministers of state, so many other ministers are there, and they're empowered to carry out certain functions. So we have one Supreme Lord and he has many empowered agents to manage the affairs of the material world. So interestingly, why would people worship Devata? Why not directly the Supreme Lord, the master of all the Devatas? Why people don't worship him? So that is the question which Krishna is answering. Why people worship others than Krishna? Answer is quick result. They don't have patience. I want. So they are mad after temporary things. They worship temporary leaders. So these devatas also, they, by the grace of the Lord, they have acquired this power. Right? But this power and this position with the devata has is temporary. He will have for some time and then he will move on. Somebody else will occupy that position. Like Indra. So he has that position, he can bestow certain benedictions, but Indra, that living entity who is in the post of Indra, he's there for some time. Then he will change. Somebody else will come. Such people are not at all interested in Krishna consciousness or permanent solution. I want this, I want it now. Who can give? This person can give, that's all. Don't talk to me about big things. I don't understand all that. So such people are not interested in permanent solutions, because Krishna consciousness is for intelligent people who want to solve all their problems once and for all.
Intelligent people look for permanent solution. Foolish looks for a temporary quick fix. Aspire for complete perfection. Give Krishna consciousness a chance.
Whether one is without desire, like devotees, or is desire of all fruitive results, or is after liberation, one should with all efforts try to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead for complete perfection, culminating in Krishna consciousness. So this particular life lesson is actually a shloka or verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 3, verse 10, 2.3.10, So what is being stated here? That if we have so many unlimited desires, or I have no desire, or I want liberation, anyone and everyone should worship the Supreme Lord. And then that person will get what he wants and he will also attain perfection. And the highest perfection is to be in love with the Supreme Lord, to be in Krishna consciousness.
Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam Guna karma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram apimam vidhi akartaram avyayam. According to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non doer, being unchangeable. So now Krishna is talking here about Chatur Varnyam. He is talking about what we say Varnashram and what we misconceive as caste system. So Krishna is again hitting at a misconception, and he's telling Chatur Varnam that this four division of human society is actually created by me. So now this four division, everybody in any part of the world can be divided into four categories. So not necessary that this is only in India. Anywhere, wherever you are, Europe or Africa or America, anywhere, the whole society can be divided into four categories. So these four categories are known as Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. So Shudra means the labor class. So people who are working for others are come in that category. Then the third from the bottom is Vaishya. So the business community. So actually Shudra is the salaried class. Vaishya is the business class, then Kshatriya are the administrators, or the administrators are the Kshatriyas, and the topmost is the intellectual class, which is called Brahmana. So any society can be divided in these four divisions, and Krishna is telling that this is not by birth. On what basis these divisions have come? So he says, Guna karma vibhagashaha. Vibhag or division has happened on the basis of guna. Guna means quality. How do I acquire a quality? My qualities are governed by the modes of material nature, whether I am in sattva, rajas or tamas, goodness, passion or ignorance. So from there I acquire quality. So that is guna, and karma is what type of actions I am doing. So based on my intrinsic nature or my quality and my activity, I am put into one of these four categories: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra. So Krishna is telling that I have divided the whole civilization into these four broad categories, and I have created this system, but I am not the doer and I am unchangeable.
So how to overcome this acute attachment and desire? So we saw that in the previous verse, Krishna was talking about this. People are so much attached to things that they want in life that they don't want to, they don't care for anyone. They're just looking for who can fulfill their desire. So they worship the Devata. So how to overcome this acute attachment desires? Krishna is giving a solution. Krishna is saying, follow the Varnashram system. So those who follow the Varna, they have, for each Varna, there are certain rules. If one follows those rules, one becomes purified, gradually move up. So if one is in Tamogun, if one follows the Varnashram rules and regulations, he will gradually go to mode of goodness, passion, and then finally mode of goodness. And what is Krishna's role? Krishna gave his role here very clearly, that he does not, he himself does not belong to any of these divisions, and that it is not one of the conditioned living entities, and he is transcendental to this system. So Krishna creates this system, but he does not belong to this system. He is transcendental to this system, and this system is only for the conditioned souls who think I am this body. For them, this system is created so that they gradually come to an understanding that I am not this body. So actually, Varnashram system, that way, if one follows the rules, then it is a spiritual system. It brings one from the lower modes to the higher modes. And usually in the past, it would be the king's responsibility to implement the Varnashram system. But now, no kings.
Now it's become the caste system. It's degraded and it has lost its purpose basically. So Krishna, when he's saying Brahman, he's not saying that if your father was a Brahman, then you become a Brahman. He's not saying if you are wearing that sacred thread, then you are a Brahman. How one becomes a Brahman? By guna and karma. So how one becomes a Kshatriya? By guna and karma. So
yeah.
And in the
that's a
later chapter, Krishna will describe much more in detail about this.
So that's a
three
sad
modes.
state of affairs, and therefore there are people who criticize Krishna, there are people who criticize Bhagavad Gita, but they don't really understand. Right? So the understanding is that what are the qualities and what are the activities. Accordingly, one is in a particular varna. He should follow the rules and regulations of that varna and gradually purify himself to the higher modes. So Varnashrama is based on guna and karma, and the purpose is for gradual and systematic development of animalistic people to Krishna consciousness. Why animalistic people? Because animals think they are the body. If we who have higher consciousness, if we also think we are the body, then we, although we are people, we are humans, but we are like animals. So how do we how the consciousness can gradually evolve? So this is for those who do not take up Krishna consciousness. If somebody is not interested in Krishna consciousness, then they should take up this process. So this system was primarily followed in Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, but then Kali Yuga system is all degraded. And so in Kali Yuga, only Ekala Varna. What Varna it is? The devotees of the Lord.
Determination of caste by birth is refuted in Bhagavad Gita. We must always remember Krishna is telling it's not caste system. One who transcends this limited knowledge and reaches the knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava is higher than a Brahmana. So now this is another wonderful thing, that if I become a devotee of the Lord, then that is perfection. There is nothing left to attain beyond that. So it is not that if I am a born Brahmana, then I am like far superior. No, the best category is the devotee of the Lord. So irrespective of which varna or ashrama a person belongs, but if he is a devotee of the Lord, then that person has perfected his life. And now talking about Krishna's role, so as we discussed, now Krishna says that he is the non-doer and he is not affected by it. Why? Because does Krishna decides or controls the desire and action of the living entity? Now, I desire to behave in a particular manner. So my guna, my karma, Krishna does not interfere. So I work as per my guna and karma. If I'm in mode of passion and I want everything instantly and I have a little aggressive nature and I'm super ambitious, what Krishna has to do with it? If I want so many assets in my life, if I want to live a very luxurious life, if I want all the comforts of life, or if I want to drink alcohol, or if I want to have LSD, what Krishna has to do with it? So I am working as per my guna or my nature, and with that nature I am doing certain activities or karma. So Krishna has created the system, but Krishna is non-doer. It is the living entity who desires and Krishna sanctions. And then the whole material nature actually facilitates the activity. So just to give a gross example, like for example, I become a founder of a school. So now, one, I am not the student, I am the founder. Two, I do not go to that same school. I would have gone to the school, but I don't go to this school. Three, some of these students of that school, they become brilliant, excellent. Some of these students are mediocre, and some of these students may become criminal also. So the same quality of education is imparted, and yet there are lot of preferences and lot of intellectual level, etc., which the child is born with. So not everybody becomes the topper. So why? Because their guna is different. So similarly, living entity decides and living entity desires and living entity acts. So that is why Krishna is yet the non-doer. Though he has created, yet he is not actively doing anything. And here we have one more exercise to deepen our understanding. So here, suppose you are visiting Chennai just for, say, very short time. You are here for 10 hours. Now there is a list of activities and you have to choose any one activity which you would like to do.
The poll is on your screen.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Wow, so 33% of you chose to be at the airport and wait for the next flight. 10 hours at the airport, probably COVID time, so you don't want to go out. And then next is 26% of you have chosen to go to Mahabalipuram. Okay, so now the whole point is, okay, what is the next highest? 21% chose to go to Marina Beach. So now, for example, if you go to Marina Beach and for some odd reason you get stuck in traffic and you miss your flight, who's responsible for that? Or if I go to, let's say, I try this, explore the street food. So we start exploring the street food and our stomach gets upset. Who's responsible for that? Or those of you who are sitting at the airport and waiting for the flight, and then there is a call for the passenger boarding, and you go and you board the flight after 10 hours, and then when you sit in the plane, your passenger sitting next to you, he asks you, where did you go? And you say, I didn't go anywhere, I was sitting here at the airport. Oh, you missed the National Museum, it's such wonderful museum here they have. Or I purchased so many things from Tinagar and you did not come. And you start lamenting, oh, why I did not go, it was close by only. Whose mistake is that? So the whole point is that we are responsible for what we do. Stop blaming Krishna for everything. So here is the next life lesson. Accept responsibility. Stop blaming Krishna. So whatever is happening in my life, actually I am given so many choices. I choose the choice and I make the decision. And when it does not come good, I start looking at Krishna. What are you sitting there and doing? Right? So this is a life lesson.
And there are certain choices which I'm making now, and still I can trace the reactions to those. But there are choices which I have made in the past and in my previous life and in life before that. And those choices that I made and actions that I've done, which I have forgotten, but the reaction is yet to come. So when we see those reactions, then I feel, Arey, I am such a good person. Why bad things happen to me?
The essence of spiritual life is to simply use our free will correctly. So Krishna has given us the free will, and we are instructed to use it carefully. Namam karmani limpanti, name karma phale spriha, iti mam yo bhijanati, karma bhirna sabatyate.
There is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruitive reactions of work. So if we look at these two verses, 13 and 14, we see that Krishna created the Varnashrama system, but he is the creator, he is the facilitator. He facilitates that how people from different gunas, different activities, they can still make spiritual progress who are not directly interested in spiritual life. So Krishna has given a system and he wants to facilitate their journey. But Krishna is saying that he is not part of that system. And here he's saying, na ma karmani limpanti, that there is no work that affects him, that entangles him. And neither Krishna desires for any material fruit. Krishna is so full in himself that he does not need, want, ever desire anything of this material world. That's how full it is. So imagine you've gone for one big, you've gone to your very good friend and he has made 21 items. And most of them are very, very good. And he serves you with love and affection. He says, oh, take little more, take little more. And after that heavy lunch, you come back. And then somebody offers you something, anything. You say, or if you have some hajmula, I'll take, otherwise I cannot take anything. So Krishna is just so full, he does not aspire for any fruit of action. So what is Krishna saying? One who understands this. Like there are many people who have misconception, who think Krishna is, he's a Vaishya. He's a Vaishya community.
Yadava.
I mean, he's a Yadava, but he's not a Yadava. for pastimes he is participating, or he's a Kshatriya. So initially he is among the cowherds, and later he becomes, he does Kshatriya responsibility, shoulders Kshatriya responsibilities in Mathura and Dwarka. So one may say, he's a Kshatriya, but Krishna is saying he's beyond the Varnashram system. And that is what we have to understand. So one who understands this truth about me does not become entangled in the fruitive reactions of work. So whatever karmas we have done, whatever we may do in future, they will not bind me just by understanding this knowledge about Krishna. So this is very simple to understand, that like king is unaffected by the laws of the country because he's the king. He runs the country. So if he goes to the jail, it is if some prisoner thinks, hey, king also came to jail, huh? Anyway, nowadays it is possible, but we need to understand that king is the controller. Under his instruction only the jail. So sometimes he may come for inspection. So it is the prisoner's foolishness to consider, oh, king also became a prisoner, right? So like that. So how is Krishna a non-doer? There is no work that affects him. He has no material desire whatsoever. His all activities are completely transcendental and spiritual. He is not affected by any action or reaction like we are affected. If Newton's third law, every action has equal and opposite reactions. So if I do good activity, I get good result. If I do bad activity, I get bad result. Krishna is beyond this good and bad action and reaction. So no work affects him. So whatever Krishna does is completely transcendental, spiritual and pure. So Krishna's activities, that's why when we read, when we hear, and when we think about them, we also become purified. So he is the one who just provides the facilities for actions, and these are governed by the modes of nature, Sattva Gun, Rajagun and Tamogun. So how is Krishna non-doer? Because he creates, but then he remains aloof. Right? Like Sugiti was giving an example of a school. So I am a founder of the school. Now, it is up to the student to take advantage. Some students take advantage. They perform very well and they're, get award. Some students don't perform well. They are not interested in studies. They may just drop out of the school. So, but it is not ultimately the responsibility of the founder. He has given a facility and it is up to the students to take advantage. So Krishna has created this facility, but he remains aloof from him. So living entity, he says, this world is for my enjoyment. And therefore, the moment he acts for his enjoyment, action means definitely he'll get reaction. And what is a devotee? He understands this whole truth about the Lord. That Lord is not one of them, but Lord creates a facility. He is always aloof from it. He is not affected. So this devotee becomes free from all his bandhans. He gets free from all these bindings of reactions.
Like rain, Supreme Lord is never partial to any living entity. So like the rain, the same rain on the soil, on the sea, on the rocks and stones, the rain is the same, but it depends on the fertility of the ground, that how it reacts to the rain. So similarly, the Supreme Lord is completely impartial to all the living entities.
Supreme Lord is not responsible for the choices I make. So don't push the blame. So many times we push the blame. I act, but I push the blame to somebody else. So let's not do it for the Lord.
Evam gyatva kritam karma purvairapi mumukshubhi kuru karmaiva tasmatvam purvai purvataram kritam. All the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. So now Krishna is summing up this section and telling that everybody in the past, they have acted understanding my transcendental nature. That how Krishna is completely transcendental, how his activities are completely beyond the modes, and he does not get any karmic reaction, and he is the creator, but he is not inside his creation that way. So when person understands that, and then such people have attained liberation. They are all liberated souls. And Krishna is telling Arjun, so he's instructing Arjun, following in their footsteps, you should perform your duty. So Krishna is calling for action, follow the footsteps and perform your duty. So this particular verse or instruction is not only for Arjun, for each one of us, that we must follow the footsteps of such exalted devotees and we must also perform our duty.
So similarly, we should follow in the footsteps of Arjuna.
So with this, we complete this section. It's already almost 9 o'clock, so we will stop here. And the next section, we would begin from verse number 16. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
We'll be around for a little more while if you have any.
Now you don't have a question, but later at some time you get a question. So just click the link and post your question there.